So I think with the disruption and the new technological innovation that we have seen in recent 2 or 3 years in the AI space, we will basically scale intelligent labor infinitely, which means that the labor part of our economy, so the economy being labor or intelligent labor plus capital, the labor part is now more or less solved in a way, right? Which is really mind-boggling. So we are on our way of creating very intelligent machines with superhuman performance in almost all tasks, and this means that our income is basically will basically stall more or less. So for most people, with the exception of those who actually leverage AI. And in this video, we are going to look at the other side of the equation, the asset or capital side of our equation, which I think because of the ability of AI to scale to infinite levels will become more important in the decades ahead. So capital will be the limiting factor of our economy, and that's why we should focus on like building a solid capital base. How much capital? This will be explored in this video. So what is your net worth by age? We are looking at different age ranges in the US, and yeah, we count equity. So our home, if you have a home, we count this towards our net worth, and let's just calculate it, have some fun, so you can compare yourself against others in your age group. Okay, so let's start with the smallest age group, between 18 to 24-year-old. Say you have accumulated 10K as a 24-year-old, which would mean that you are like almost the median net worth, right? So you would have a net worth of 10K, which is like the 15th percentile or the median value in our age group. Okay, first of all, what I want to do is use the compound annual growth rate calculator. So say we have 10K starting value, and now let's look at the end. So say we have 80 plus year old, right? Now maybe let's make a 79-year-old, and we calculate the 50th percentile of a 75-year-old would be 338,000. Okay, so let's see. So if we want to go from 10,000 to 338,000, how many years do we have? So we go from age 24 to 79, which is like 55 years, right? So over 55 years. So this is kind of our base compound annual growth rate. If we can start with 24 and we compound our capital at 6.6% on average, then we will maintain our wealth. So this number, like the 6.6% growth rate, is just to maintain our standard over the years. If we can outpace this number, so this would mean we invest 10K and we don't invest anything else during our time in the workplace, right? So we don't add anything else, but we just let our capital grow and compound at a 6.6% rate over 55 years. This would mean that we could maintain our level, like of our 50th percentile, the median wealth that we have accumulated. So let's see how this looks for the higher end. So say we go from also the same age group, but now say we are in the 19th percentile, so we are the top 10% wealthiest people, 2.9 million. So if we go from 10K, say we don't start with anything, to 2.9 million, which would be unfair. This would actually basically mean we would increase our standard, right? What compound annual growth rate would we have to accomplish? Only 10.8%. Okay, so this can be achieved with S&P 500 basically. So if we start young with 24, it's not too young, right? 24, many of us already earn some money with 24. If we just start with a relatively small sum and we compound at a relative small rate, so 10.8%, so all in stocks, maybe a little bit of leverage, maybe adding a little bit of capital right in the early years through work or so. I mean, this is not only the capital growth rate, it's also our labor, right? Our labor, which we can add to our capital to basically compound it. 10.86% is definitely doable over a long period of time. This would mean that we go from like the median to the top 10% over the years, just by having a solid investment approach, right? But now, so say if we invest in tech or something, right? So if you invest in opportunities that give us 15%, so Nasdaq-like opportunity, Nasdaq-like opportunities. So we don't just invest in a broad index, but maybe we add some own insights that we might have. Maybe we have a few insights into growth industries. Maybe we can risk a bit more. Maybe get some leverage, right? Have like 50% or so. We take some loans. Like if you purchase a house, you would also pay a loan. This is not financial advice. It's just like just some calculations, math, right? If we buy a house, we basically take a loan, right? And then the house grows, and the growth is on top of our loan. So there's always some leverage opportunities if you could increase it. So say we want to go from 10K to 10 million. We would need only a 13% growth rate, right? It's also not too impossible to achieve. Actually, the Nasdaq has accomplished a higher growth rate. So over those long period of times, we don't need a significant growth rate to reach the top percentiles in net worth. Okay, so this is already a good, solid insight, right? Okay, so if you have a net worth of, let's go back to the 18 to 25 range, a net worth of 10K would put us into the median. If you want to be top 20%, we would need 64K. If you want to be top 10%, we would need 184K today. So you can, if you are in this age group, you want to be top 10%, then you would have to accomplish 184K before you reach the age of 24. So this could be a good target, right? If you want to be top 10%, this could be a good target for you, maybe to accumulate as much until you are 24 if you want to reach the top 10%. And you see, to maintain your status in the top 10%, you don't need to risk a lot of your capital then, because just maintenance would mean you have maybe a 6-7% or so growth of your capital. Okay, then if you want to be top 1% in net worth, you would have to reach 650K, which is already like, it's very difficult for a 24-year-old to do without, say, scale, like the internet also provides to us, or without inheriting something. Some do it, but you can only accomplish it if you have significant elements of scale and business income, right? It's usually not possible with other means. It's also, maybe crypto or something like risky investments, but even say with in the normal stock market, it's very unusual to reach 650K before 24 only from your own effort. Okay, so let's go to the age range 25 to 29. Now you see it's almost like the very wealthy. It's very difficult to be in the top 1% as compared to the top 10%. So top 10%, your net worth before age 29 would only have to be 296K. I know it's difficult for many people. Many people would not reach this target, but it's accomplished. It's doable, right? 296K before you turn 30. But to reach the top 1% out of your own effort, it's very difficult to do. It's 2 million for the top 1%. And 2 million, usually, you can do it if you compound your capital and you have started with a solid initial sum. And then just compound the capital, right, at an S&P 500 like return. But it's difficult if you didn't start out with a huge capital base. That's also why it's important. If we save some money for our children, right, they could start with 10K at age 18. They could start at the 15th percentile, right? Just go back to this. They could start with 10K easily. If we started investing So let's maybe make this exercise. So say the first 18 years, we just maybe we start with 1K. We give them 1K as a present, and we want them to have 10K after 18 years. Now we would need a 13.6% compound annual growth rate. So maybe let's tweak this number to make it a bit more realistic. Maybe 1,500. Now you see it's getting more realistic. So this could be reached with an S&P 500 like return. Okay, so if you could just like for each kid put 1,700 into the broad stock market or so, let it compound for 18 years. Now your kid could already start at the median, and it would be like far easier for your kid to catch up, right, with the fast growing wealth of the rich. So let's go to the age range 30 to 34. Many people on the Finxter channel have like this kind of range. What net worth would you need to be at the median? It's 88K, but of course 88K is far below average, because the average usually in these statistics is far higher than the median. Why is that? Because the very rich, like the high net worth individuals, they pull up the average in these kind of statistics. Okay, but if you have 88K, you would be in the middle of the distribution. If you want to be like top 10% in the US, then you would have to accumulate 538K as a, say, 30-year-old in the first half of the decade. And top 1% would mean 2.6 million. Let's move up, 35 to 39. Many people are here. You see in the long tail distribution accelerate significantly in these distributions. And again, to be median, we would need 138K. So being median basically is always, I would say, possible just by doing manual labor. I mean, even if you would start with 0 at age 30, we could accumulate 138 with a side business or something at age 35 or 39, right? So it's always possible to go to median. And then in order to rise up the distribution, we just need to invest our capital, right, at a reasonable rate that is not the bond rate. It's like a stock market index. We need to outperform inflation in order to increase our net worth. Of course, there are other opportunities of investing in scarce and desirable global assets. I mean, probably there are better opportunities. I know there are better opportunities than just investing in the S&P 500. But I mean, this is not investment advice. It's just some statistics here. Okay, to be top 1%, you would need 4.7 million. Top 10%, you would need 864 million. So maybe as a 39-year-old, if you have like a 300K net worth or so, you would be top 30% in the US. So you see, it's like, I mean, you cannot be lazy about this. I think it's important to move ourselves up the scale here at least. And if you are like 40 plus, you would need a net worth of 134 to be in the top, to be at the median, and 1.1 million already to be top 10%. So starting with age 40, we need 1 million to be top 10%. And to be top 1%, you would need 7.8 million. Let's move on. So it's probably similar. Yeah, it's pretty similar to with this age group now. Say at age 50, to be at a 50th percentile, you would need a net worth of 266K, and top 10 would require you to have 2.5 million. So it's almost 10x. So let's see if this 10x rule would basically apply to other net worth distributions as well. Top 1% would require you to be 13 million. So as you see, it's almost another 10x, right? So to go from the top 10% to the top 1%, you would always almost need another 10x, which is interesting. Here from the median is 310K to top 10%, 2.6 million. Again, we would need a 10x. Then going from the top 10% to the top 1% means almost another 10x, like an 8x or so, right? it would be relatively the same for all age groups. Okay, let's go 60 to 64. If you are age 60 and you have a net worth of 392k, you would be in the middle of the distribution. This would mean maybe you have a house or something, right? If you have a net worth of 3 million, you would be top 10%. And to have a net worth of, if you have a net worth of 17 million, you would be top 1%. Okay, so and I think that the takeaway here is twofold. We need to invest. I mean, investing is not optional if you want to be on the right side of change. You need to invest in scarce and desirable resources that grow at a compound annual growth rate of 10%. Then we would, if you could grow our capital at 10% every single year, we would basically move up the food chain here, right? We would go from, say, we start with 25 year with 10k, means if you have 10k at 29, for instance, we would be like very bad off. We would be in the bottom third of the society, right? With 10k at age 33. So we are bottom, right? But now let's invest 10k for 30 years or 40 years, and look what happens at age. Say we have 10k at 29, so 40 years later, it's we are 69. Okay, so first of all, let's look. So we have 10k, and for 40 years. And now let's say, so we start at the bottom third, right? Now let's look at 69. Maybe our goal is to go into the top 10%, starting from the bottom 30%. We want to be top 10%. So we want to have a net worth of 2.9 million as we retire. So if you have 2,900,000, so 2.9 million over 40 years, what would be the compound annual growth rate? Let's calculate it, 15%. So this would be tough but doable, right? It's not like we are not only investing, like this 15% also includes our intelligent labor, right? We can still find a job that pays money, and then maybe after a year we would in 1 year double our net worth, right, by accumulating some money in the investment. So this 15% compound annual growth rate wouldn't have to come all from investing. It could also come from like your labor. It could be a combination of investing and your labor. So say if you could save another 10k after a year, now the job would be far easier, right? The compound annual growth rate would go down. Let's maybe save another 10k after 1 more year, so we have 1 less year to compound, and maybe then we have already made a 10% on the existing sum. So we now 3 years later we have a 33k net worth, but only 38 years, so 2 years left. Now our compound annual growth rate actually goes down over time, and the capital can do more and more of the heavy lifting for us. But as I said, we need capital, and there's no, it is not optional. We should always keep investing in our capital base in order to be on the right side of change. And I think this is a good takeaway of the video. It sounds simple, right? But many of us don't do it, or many Finxters don't do it. I know from personal stories that I encounter so many Finxters write in with their life stories. And I know that many are just do not invest. And I think starting with the basics, with the net worth percentiles, you can move up the ladder. It's not about inheriting large amounts of money. It's just having a higher compound annual growth rate than most, and having a higher compound annual growth rate it's achievable with the stock market or other scarce and desirable assets. Okay, thanks for watching. Give me a like and subscribe to this video. And if you want to increase your earning power in the decade ahead, where you can accumulate a lot of income, then you should consider becoming an AI engineer. Why? Because AI engineers, the median salary, and it's not average, the median salary is 136k already. Average is higher. This is a great salary. You could easily save 30k or so per year. And actually going from in 1 year later, you could save 30k more, right? 1 year has passed. and now your compound annual growth rate already ensures that you would reach top 10%, even starting with a very bad bottom 30% in the society at a higher age. It's still possible if you are 30 and you are a bottom third to move towards the top 10% by having like a solid income and combining income growth with capital growth. Like these two things together are very powerful ways to get out of the rut. And so becoming an AI engineer, I think it's the opportunity of our time. Why? Because we already have the powerful AI models. We just need to we need to learn how to use them. We need to deploy them in the real world and create huge amounts of scale and value for businesses, and they will basically pay us to do so. So if you want to do this, check out the Finxter Academy. I will give a link in the description below. The Finxter Academy, you can learn how to become an AI engineer from scratch. Just follow the learning path. You get the certificates and you can apply for great jobs. On average, the AI engineer makes 136K per year. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.